Right, so Botvinnik strikes again. Now he plays.
He plays against Capablanca. This was a very well-known game afterwards, of course.
But in still the same competition.
The same competition, the same tournament, yes. After this tournament, Botvinnik was already, very well known everywhere. I mean, he could beat Alekhine, he could beat Capablanca, and finally that was the start of his career.
Nice.
The highest level like this.
Okay.
Okay, so here they played a form of the Zemish variation for white. Is not a very normal Zemish, because the normal Zemish is without the pawn in e3. I mean, my game against Fischer, if you remember, and many others, of course, was to play immediately f3 instead of e3. But okay, after e3 is the same idea for white, Okay, so here, okay, he took in d5, he took with the pawn, bishop d3. Okay, castle, and knight e2. And, he reacted normally, Capablanca, by playing b6. The idea is to play immediately bishop a6 to trade the bishop from d3. White's idea is to arrive later on to play e4, to play f3, knight g3, e4. If he realizes this, it's better for white. This is the idea from this opening, So, okay, bishop a6, he took in a6, I think, he took, and what did he play? Bishop b2 first, okay. Queen d7. Well, if you look this position, more or less even, okay, now, like this now. But I told you, the white's plan is to play later on to arrive on e4. So a4 is more or less all right, because he controls the white squares to avoid the idea the black king somehow wanted probably to come to b5. If he arrives to b5, black is okay, because he controls all the white squares, and the black bishop from b2 doesn't play. This is the idea, So, okay, rook e8, queen d3. Now you have to take a decision what to do here. To play c4 or not to play c4?
As black?
As black, It seems that c4 later on, it's okay, but it's okay only if you can't avoid the possibility to play, in a few moves, e4, because if he arrives to play e4, like in our game, like in his game from Botvinnik against Capablanca, white becomes very good tactical chances against the king, later on, in middle game. And the game will be like this, finally. He gives the a4 pawn for initiative later on, and he comes on the other side, And finally, he wins the game. Very beautiful game. But, of course, Capablanca made a few mistakes. I mean, it was not very clear. He could play better, He could play better. And finally, when we finish with this game, I'll tell you why. It was later on I played a very important game in Moscow in 81 after so many years, and I could improve the game for black, against Petrosian. Not exactly the same position, but the idea will be different, you see. So, okay, now he goes back. He wants to go back with the knight in b8 and c6. He said
to come on b3?
No, in some position he can try to come to b3, but he loses too much time if he goes like this. But okay, he attacks the queen goes back, of course, and now knight b8. Now the idea for black here, if you don't have immediate counterplay with white, is to come knight c6, knight a5, knight b3. He wants to take you the pawn from a4. Okay, the idea is clear. Now white has to do something in meantime, what to do. Counterplay, rook e1, of course, knight g3, f3, e4. This is counterplay, immediate counterplay in central squares. So everybody has the idea. Now they have to realize it. Now knight g3, knight a5. Okay, f3. He wants to come to e4. All right. So knight b3. Now it's clear. Black wins the pawn from a4. In meantime, white wants to do something very quickly on the other side, So e4.
But his bishop still looks very sad here.
Well, but finally, this is the biggest surprise. Finally, the bishop from a3 gives the decisive blow in this game. You see?
Really?
The bishop from a bit. We'll see. Therefore, the game will be very important in that time, and until now, it's still a very nice example how to play with white against such a position. Like, because it was Capablanca with black, you see. So, okay, e4. Queen takes a4. All right. So now, e5. Okay. White has to do something, and immediately, very quickly, you see. So knight d7. All right. Queen f2. Has to keep all the pieces on board, because if you play such a position without queen, even if you have this very good initiative, maybe it's not enough without queen. But with queen on board, it's very important to play with queen on board. So queen f2, g6. Okay, g6. Black wants to play finally f5, After f5, you have to take a decision to take in f6 or to play e6. If you don't play like this, black has the idea knight f8, knight e6. With the pawn in f5, you don't have any attack anymore. If he arrives to do this. The plan is excellent for black, but you can't do it, because white plays in meantime, of course, no.
He did now.
So now he takes, of course, now he takes in f6. But again, after knight takes in f6, you have to take back now. And now you have to do something very quickly. f5 is forced. If you don't play f5 now, black has the possibility to come back with the queen in d7, and later on maybe knight e4, and you don't have any attack anymore, So, okay, quickly you have to do f5. So now black has to be very careful. Takes, and of course, he plays always on white squares, on the white squares. If you don't have something in a few moves, black can defend, So you have to, again, you have to show that you have a very good initiative for the pawn. You gave the pawn for a very strong initiative. So nice. Rook e6, the best move, of course. So now what to do? If you accept the challenge, you have to take in e6, So okay, now he takes back. Again, you can demonstrate or you can't demonstrate that your defense is good enough. It seems that it's all right for black, because you don't have anything decisive in 2-3 moves with white, So if he has time to play king g7, queen c6 or queen e8, attacking the pawn, if you lose the pawn from e6, you can resign with white, So what can you do? Again, very quickly, now you have to come with the queen in f4 and then in e5, controlling the white diagonal, and to have some tactical chances with knight f5 or knight h5 check. This is the idea for white, But you have to realize, of course. Now, okay, king g7, queen f4. Very logical, no? After queen f4, queen e8. Again, Capablanca defends, like always, with best moves, Okay, how can you win this? Queen e5, excellent move. Now, I told you, the diagonal, no? Okay, now, the logical move, now, queen e7, no?
He resigned here.
No, they played.
They played?
Of course, they played. Queen e7.
Queen e7?
Yes, you don't have the moves, or what?
No, I don't have the moves. Only.
Okay, we show it. We have to.
Yes.
We have to look.
No.
Huh?
Is this move?
Yes, bishop a6. Okay. You have the moves, no?
A6 now is working. Yes.
Yes. Okay, now this starts the final combination, which is fantastic combination, but it's not very complicated, but it's very beautiful, And it's forced until the end, It's forced until then. I told you the bishop from b2, which for the moment wasn't playing at all, gives the last blow, because now it's forced. You have to take in a3. You don't take in a3, terrible. Okay, you take in and now fantastic move. Knight h5 check, the second sacrifice, So again, it's forced. What to do? Now you have to take only with the pawn. And now knight g5, queen g5 check. And it's almost mate all the time, So what to do? Now you have to take, you take there, and, okay, check, or immediate e7, what did he play? E7.
Yes.
And now, okay, he's piece down, and he threatens to make queen, Queen and queen f8 mate. 2 threats. e8 check, queen,
Yes.
or queen f8 mate immediately in one move.
Yeah.
Now, the only chance for black is to try to give perpetual.
Perpetual check.
But it's not perpetual, we will see, until the end. So queen. So king f2, queen c2, only one white, you see. It's like this, the theory possibility is okay to give checks on the other color, on white when your opponent controls the black squares, So okay, king g6 check again, king h4. Now again check. Now he takes the pawn, No.
Yes.
And now again you have to try to give check because you don't have time to give a check in g6. If you have time to give check in g6, it's all right. Afterwards, king f7.
Yeah.
But here he takes in g6 and takes with the king, and you can't come with the king and this mate in e8,
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
Because the knight is completely out of play on b3, you see. You have a piece up for black, but the piece doesn't play.
So
okay, and now
check.
Check. And now back. And now when he gave check there, now g4, you see. Enough to win. Now you have to give check in e1, the only move, and now king h5 and black resigned.
Now he resigned, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You see, demonstration, Fantastic game for Botvinnik, Everything forced after bishop a3, everything is forced,
Yeah.
It's almost unbelievable because Capablanca was playing for black, therefore, Otherwise, it's very logical and very simple if you look now in computers' time, computers see everything, But in their time,
To find such a move.
Fantastic game, you see.
Against
Capablanca, yes. Capablanca, who lost very rarely with black, He was a little bit like Petrosian in modern time, He lost, from time to time, maybe once in a year or once in 2 years. Okay, now coming back to our story, almost, that was played in 38. So, after more than 40 years, we played probably the strongest tournament of my career, the start tournament in Moscow in 81. And I played another legendary grandmaster, Petrosian, with black. The last round of this very strong tournament. And we arrived in such a position where I had the feeling that I came into some home analysis. I saw that he was very happy. He was very content. And I remember this game, Capablanca with black against Botvinnik, and I had to try to avoid, the same possibility. And somehow I managed to find another plan for black, you see. And I played something else, similar variation. Well, I showed the game.
Yes.
So finally we drew the game. After our game from Moscow, the idea for black was playable. I mean, it was okay for black. And everybody was content because black could play again this kind of position, After this legendary game, Capablanca lost to Botvinnik, the idea disappeared finally from chess theory, everywhere. Nobody played it anymore with black, you see, because they were, impressed by such a fantastic game. So after my game with Petrosian, the game was all right, and the variation appeared again in chess theory. So it was very nice possibility to show something on the highest level, and that shows that even in chess you can find always something new to improve something, you see. Of course, in another time, modern time and so on. But it happened like this.
So your game was a draw.
Was a draw, but it was, in my opinion, was a mistake for me to take a draw. It was clearly better for black. But I was impressed by the performance, let's say, because to finish undefeated in such a fantastic tournament, it was really a performance, But finally, it happened like this. He proposed draw, Petrosian. I was thinking for almost 1 hour. 50 minutes or something, I didn't see very clearly what happens, why black is better. I felt that black is better, but I didn't know exactly why and how, you see. And in the moment when we had to sign, I was already, ready to sign the result. I saw the possibility to play for win, but it was
like
too
a
late.
flash in the
Yeah, it was too late, of course, and I
Mm.
had to accept draw. We analyzed afterwards, and he agreed. Petrosian agreed that
You had to
position
do
was
it.
better for black anyway, and therefore he proposed draw. Of course, he felt that it was a small
he didn't
a
take,
small danger.
he
It's not
didn't take chances, right?
no, it was a
Not
little
this.
bit dangerous. Of course, he proposed to be the draw.
All right.
So it happened like this. This is just history, of course. Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
coming back to our game, it was a fantastic win for Botvinnik, So
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
you're welcome.